Good morning, guys. It's today is October 30th, Sunday morning, and I'm recording the video for Friday, October 28th. Okay, so if I use word today, that means it's a Friday. Okay, so you want to see the price holding it below preferred and aggressive sellers area in both NQ and ES, right? So whatever happened on Thursday, right, end of the day, right, the price was way down. So we cannot focus on buyers right of the open. We have to open to the idea of sellers are being active as long as they hold below this area. If price goes above it, then yes, we can be open for long based on how price goes above it. So that's the requirements for sellers for ES and NQ. Now Dow Jones holding it below 166 and 100, then you want to see a break below this, right? If Russell you want to hold it below this and visit to this area. These are the requirements for sellers. Anything other than that, assume the day is going to be ping pong kind or favoring buyers, right? So these 6 lines are very important, right? You don't want to read anything else. So here you can it will give you the idea of all 4 indexes, what they want, what I want to see them doing it from seller side, right? Anything other than that is a bias, right? Or ping pong. Ping pong means both ways, it can go up and down, up and down, up and down. So if you look at it, Dow, it opened about this area, 1115, 115, that was the opening price. Then it went down, it didn't even went down, and then it broke out about this area. So Dow was not favoring sellers. That's the first thing you need to note, right? Then Russell opened at 1811 or 12, even higher than both of this level, right? Then it came down, but this was the low of the day. Instead of going down, holding below, this became the low of the day, and then Russell made a new high above 11, right? So now Russell is not with you, Dow is not with sellers, right? Russell is not with sellers. Both are favoring longs right of the open, right? So now, and then only thing is missing puzzle is ES and NQ. They have to go above preferred or aggressive sellers area to join them, then in that case all 4 indexes are favoring buyers, right? So, and then you have to just line up the internals. If they are also higher, then yes, you can go long, right? Depending on how price goes up there. So remember that thing now, right? So we know now Dow and Russell are favoring buyers right of the open, right? Then what do you see? Then you see, okay, price is open drive in both ES and NQ, right? Right before that there was 8:30 news, which is this candle, right? So right of the open there was an open drive, so that was also suggesting some buying going on in ES and NQ, correct? But if you look at it, the gap was too wide, right? It was too wide, and if you look at internals, they were barely at 100, plus 100 to 100 NYCAD, right? And this was barely even 100 also. So ideally, based on this wide gap up, you want to see plus 1000, plus 2000, 1500, something, a good AD. That means internally there was no buying. Even though price went higher, there was no buying here right of the open. You have to assume that, So that doesn't give us a right to go long of the open. Even though we know Russell and Dow are favoring buyers, we cannot do anything here. That's a process, we have to follow it every day. One few days, in a year, you will see this kind of move also. We have to let it go then. So and anyway, technically you cannot go long as long as price is above this area, doesn't go above this area. So now of the open, you can see there was a firm close above this area, right? So at least here, price is telling us that hey, buyers are really in control based on the price action. So now we can even go long into this area, either with the flow or at pullback, right? Pullback if it pulls back to here, at this high or somewhere here, but price did not even pull back to this area. It was like 2 points or 1 point away from it. So unless you want to front run it, right, then you can go long here. That's why it's a different arrow. Otherwise you have to wait, and then we will miss it, right? Now considering price already went up to here right of the open, you can see it went from here 90 to 34 against these sellers. See that these sellers, right? They were strong sellers. So now you cannot go long going with the flow here with the open die based on Russell and Dow, right? Because these two indexes are weak and NQ was run is at blue line, right? So, or about to go to blue line. So you can't go long, but at least you know you cannot short it either. Why? Because Dow Russell are favoring buyers. NQ and ES both above this preferred sellers area, which is the requirement to hold it below it for sellers, right? Now it sliced through it. So now you cannot even short here, you know. Yeah, here if price goes there, you may consider short if there is a poor internals, right? But then by the time day is open drive is working, all this thing, right? So there is no short here, you know. So there is no short at all, you know. Now longs, you have to decide what do you want to do, right? So here you can, I personally cannot go long considering this blue level. It was a backup sellers, blue levels, right? Blue lines are powerful, so you can't do long going with the flow, knowing all this thing. And internals were not that great of the open, right? They were, something was off. So price can technically come down and slice through this, fill the gap, right? So we cannot do anything here. Now then what do we see is momentum. That's the first thing to note, that momentum was holding above zero line consistently with the price, right? So now that is telling us that, hey, you know what, buyers are there. Now they are confirming it, right? But now it's too late to go long here, right? So now we have to wait for a pullback. When pullback happened, it did not come down exactly to this spot, so we missed it. However, NQ come down to preferred sellers area, to the dot, pretty much, right? So NQ you can go long, right? But then if you look at internals, by the time they were like reversing, see that, all the way down, right? So now we have to think that, hey, internals were off of the open, so they were not supporting buyers, and now due to internals price came down, possible, right? And then it can slice through it because of, and then look at the momentum was there also, right? And now in conjunction with yesterday's down move, it is possible that it may trap sellers right here, buyers right here. It's exchange area, right? And this was the blue line, backup sellers response. So now you cannot go long here either, you know, unless it comes down here, you know, to the T, you know, right, this area. Then you can risk few points, stop below this area and go long and try it. NQ you can risk here, and NQ's high was here, see that? So NQ could have like sliced through it, it poked through it, come here and then bounce, right? And in that process it may stop you out here. So that's why there is a different arrow here, you know, it was a risky long here, and because of this you cannot go long here either, right? But at least you know buyers are there. If there is a bounce, you know that buyers are confirming now, you know, otherwise price would have sliced through it. So this is a first hint of the open that price action is superseding the internals because of this bounce. The moment it went above 310 again, that was the sign. See here, I even took a short here, right here, 310, you know, price went into my favor, you know, then it sliced through it, okay? Then I stopped trading actually. But you can see it here, you know, I used our box concept, you know, so, and actually I put that in Discord also. So then price went higher, right, and sliced through this area, backup buyer area, backup sellers area. See at this point, you know, NQ is telling you that yes, now today it wants to go higher. Look at internals by that time, you know, almost up, otherwise it would have been gone down, right? So now here, you know, you can go long right at this backup sellers area, right? This was around what time? 10:30, right? So which is 10:30 right here. But yes, there was no long unless you go with the flow, you know, like the moment you see this bounce, right, you can go with the flow here. But then, you know, I usually don't like to go with the flow, right? Because now even though if I go long here at breakout, I will run into this backup sellers, right? And breakouts are risky anyway. So you have to wait for a price to just go through this area, then pull back to this area. If it does, then you can go long by the time if NQ is also doing the same thing, right? So 11:15, you can see it, 11:15, 11:15. 15 right here. It was a first hour high area too, right? This area. So here you can see price was chopping around here, right? And then you can see there is a mini fail breakdown here, correct? And internals, look at the momentum. It was not low enough, so it was holding above zero line consistently, right? And if you look at NQ, same thing here. It was holding this mini breakdown balance area, and this red line, right? After breaking through it. So pink line was very good R. That's why you are seeing this responses, right? But then price was not going down. So first time down, here you cannot go long. Oh, sorry. Shit. Man. Oops, I messed it up. So, man. So this arrow is supposed to be here, okay? Assume it's here. Then when you see this, right? That's where you go long. Or you can go long here, assuming it will fail breakdown. Not breakdown, because now buyers are in control. If now you cannot think about the breakdown. Why? Because if price wanted to go down, it would have done it here, right? Or it would have done it here, right here, like this. But the moment it broke out, right, and then it went above backup sellers area, now buyers are confirming 100%. By the time internals were also rising, right, like this. Look at this. So this was a good long right here. This was a perfect long. All other longs were, okay longs. This was a perfect long. Now you can target this red area or this area, because now it will go like most likely go to 39.20. So you can target that or this, and here you can bail out. NQ you can bail out at 589 or this 700 area if price goes there, but it did not go there. So those were the trades. So it's a carefully selective trading you have to do it. Even though you know that price is now broke through all this thing, but I already walk you through it, right? Why the long doesn't make sense, because you have to combine the process. You have to follow every day the same process, right? Based on the price, you cannot just blindly assume something. And that be all for today, for Friday, October 28th, and I'll see you on Monday.